Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series The Nature of Predators. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Please note that as of Monday, this series will be exclusively on the series channel. The link is in the description down below. Anyways, on to the story. Chapter 147. Memory transcription subject, Chief Hunter Isip, Oxal Rebellion Command. Date, Standardized Human Time, March 5th, 2137. The Yodel warships had split from our formation and attracted the ire of the Kolshian drones. It was impressive, in a way, that herbivores were able to organize proper movements, but this demonstrated reckless abandon. These craft were fresh from Lian's shipyards and weren't automated like the enemy. No biologic could reach decisions as quickly as a computer. Terrans could circumvent this by stumping the onboard programs with new technologies and strategies. Yet it was absurd to anticipate exceptional advances from the vegetation-munching species who hadn't shown war mastery. The enemy drones swiveled their railguns with perfect precision, and plasma lancers pulled out from the barrels as the Yodel drew close. The marsupials were unflinching. They seemed to be flying themselves directly into the weapon's path. Were these technocracy pilots suicidal, or did they assume out of inexperience that shields would prevent any damage from seeping through? My eyes zeroed in on one allied vessel, knowing I couldn't get my own people killed to bail out herbivores dabbling in stupidity. An arc of brilliance was racing to greet the vessel, which was forging ahead with no thought of self-preservation. These Yodel vessels were strangely shaped, looking more like a cube than sleek aerodynamic contraption. The blocky form made it more of a target, rather than one that could twirl away or place lengthy guns along the slender back. With an inbound munition hell-bent on its demise, the technocracy ship bobbed as if though it was riding on a wave, and the hull plating unclasped before my eyes, revealing a normal-looking craft below. The metal shell propelled itself into the plasma beam, immolating, while the ejected fuselage remained intact. The outer layer acts as a decoy against the targeting systems, while the key mechanisms can break from the hold. Where primitive rockets detach stages after their purpose is fulfilled. No humans involved in building these Yodel ships. The leaner boat released from within the shell had its weapons ready, though it wasn't utilizing traditional plasma, kinetic, or explosives. The Yodel's chosen weaponry was almost like a cannon protruding from its belly, but there was no trace of any visible munitions being fired. The flash was only perceptible as something struck the Kolshian drones, scorching their hull from the close-range vantage point. It was an invisible force which seemed to leap across space in an instant, like it was traveling close to the speed of light in real space. Without shields, the enemy was unprotected from the heat generated from my readout from the unseen impact. The enemy drone I was focused on wasn't alone in having its plating liquefied and the sensitive circuitry within fried in seconds. There was nothing the Kolshians could do to fight back or defend themselves. They were blindsided by this vicious innovation. Though our foe's initial count had been 10,000 strong, they were dropping like flies. With my rebels and the Terran line hounding them, the automatons began a hasty retreat. The disbelief over the Yodel showing was palpable on my bridge, and the Oxal voices on the comms channels chastising the marsupials for venturing off had died down. Kaiser looked astonished. How could Prey have come up with a new weapon? What are they even doing?
I do not know, but I see that humans have not led us astray with their chosen reinforcements, I remarked. Molek, Lisa, can you offer any insight on this development?
Molek whipped around with his signature I knew it grin on his face. Particle beam weapons! This is what the death ray that melted the Grand Gulf reactor was. I looked into the proof of a ton. We've had them since 1989. Charge up in a particle accelerator and shoot quantum shit near light speed, and voila! Molek is off in crazy land again. But he is right about what it is. According to my contacts, Lisa sighed. The Yodel worked closely with the UN on their shipbuilding, and apparently were able to make a feasible ion cannon. Unlike lasers, a particle beam can't be reflected, and even with shields up, the charged particle disrupts the current. Kaiser relaxed his posture. I see. It is a human development that you gave the Prey, because you do foolish things like that. We worked hand in hand on this, just like, you know who we worked in tandem with when we came up with the shield disruptors? The Yodel. They've been excellent, not only to bounce ideas off of, but to expand on what we've given them.
Perhaps these herbivores are more capable than any of us assumed. Humanity always had an ability to see species for what they really are. It is remarkable. This makes taking Maloo much more feasible.
With less worry begging down my heart over the Oxal lives that would be lost in the battle, I ordered our vessels to press the advantage. The Colchians had given up fending off the Terrans they'd been in a stalemate with, and were getting overrun as they retreated. The Yodel took a few hits, despite their crafty countermeasures, but their particle beams also rendered missiles lobbed at them useless. More than once, I saw warheads erupt well before their intended target, picked off like sizars in a riverbank. The particle accelerators didn't seem to have the cooldown requirements that standard plasma weapons did either. The Colchians fired off parting shots as their numbers dwindled. Few enemies had escaped the Yodel's invisible net, with their ships disabled within seconds. Our weapons station was scouring for stragglers, and I saw our gunners take some iffy shots in the hopes of scoring kills. The Oxal vessels had been outshone, though our sheer numbers helped to clean up any remaining foes. However, there was still a chance to test our prowess by Maloo itself. I wouldn't expect the resounding success that we had against the battle line. Now, their particle beams weren't a surprise. Still, with my 13,000 ships and the Terrans' long-present drones, there was a good chance that we could come out ahead.
There's 40,000 ships total, I announced, so there's loads more waiting at Maloo's heart, and foot soldiers occupying the land. Let's go hunt them down.
Kaisel issued an awkward tail lash. What should we say to the Yodel, sir?
I'll handle it.
I switched on my microphone, tuning into the joint comms for a brief second.
This is Chief Hunter Isif. I wanted to congratulate the Yodel technocracy on a well-fought battle. Might I add that we are delighted that you are on our side.
A few barks of laughter came in response. So much for being primitives that are beneath the wider galaxy. The Yodel will never be mocked or taken for granted by anyone after today. We'll lead the way to Maloo.
You deserve to champion the hunt. I shall be quite pleased when the Dosa are fully liberated, and only then. But I wish to acknowledge your display of acumen. Good fortune.
I switched off my transmitter and did a brief survey of my bridge team. There had been a handful of grumbles when I agreed to let the herbivores lead, but it was the Oxal way for the strongest to take charge. I disliked that the newcomers to the galaxy had already leg up my fleet, though I didn't expect Zhao to work so closely to provide us weapons. The waters were muddied in terms of any relations between humanity and us. We couldn't afford to be complacent anymore. A new goal of the rebellion needed to be what the Yodel and the Terrans had achieved, bringing together scientists that could innovate and grow our technology.
We did it once, before science was distorted field, and we were steered towards a forever war. Gizno didn't want us to get stronger, but I wished to see us victorious. Technology could be the key field in helping us beat the Dominion, if we can't get the Terrans' help soon enough.
My ragtag band of rebel ships mobilized behind the Yodel craft. The detectable, blocky layers of marsupials had sported were gone, but having lost only a few dozen ships, I trusted them to find new ways to stay effective. Kaisel was busy combing sensors as Oleg turned the focus to the comms array to broadcast from the planet. I squinted at the scruffy human, whose expression had shifted in an instant. Knowing he had time before reaching the system's heart, I wandered over to his station to peek at his viewing materials.
"What is the issue, Oleg?" I asked.
The human pursed his lips. "Sir, the Dosa are claiming that they have control of their broadcast channels again. The Colchians packed up and shop and just, left the occupation, with quite a few local prisoners in tow. Apparently, they target troublemakers." Lisa cleared her throat, with absent-mindedly fiddling with the brown locks. "I'm hearing the same thing. My UN contacts are telling me that the local government's re-established contact, and that they are being appraised by Ambassador Elar's decision to join the Sapien Coalition."
"I see. The Colchians are fleeing, surrendering the planet, and acknowledging they lost," I hissed. "That is excellent news. Farah will be pleased. There's not much we can do about the Dosa prisoners, but there's no way the enemy can initiate a total evacuation and vacate the system before we get there. Perhaps the Jotl can disable and board the prisoner ships and...
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but that's the thing, sir. It seems they started making preparations to leave and left days ago, Oleg mumbled. Kaisel smacked his tail on the floor. I've adjusted the sensor settings and observed the breadth of the planet's spaceports on the viewport. At maximum magnification, there is not a trace of any Kolchian ships left here, sir. I can detect some subspace trails, suggesting they left within the hour. Maloo is free. I narrowed my eyes.
That does not make sense. They started leaving days in advance of our arrival. The Kolchians would not have expected a thorough transit. It must have been some ulterior motive, yes?
The fact that they continued to hold us at bay is telling, Lisa mused aloud. They didn't want us to know that they were gone. We're only picking up the communications now, so the drones were jamming various channels. Why keep up the illusion, unless you don't want humanity to know your 30,000 ships have relocated? Oleg's brown eyes widened with realization. Holy shit! They left because they were given orders to attack somewhere else. The question is, where have they gone?
I haven't a clue, but I suggest we relay a warning to the United Nations.
My head turned towards Oleg, and the humans seemed to pick up on the message to open a channel.
Your intelligence may be a better idea of this, yes? It is also your jurisdiction how to proceed. With Maloo freed, Zal will wish to hear of our success.
Already on it, sir. Give me a moment. I did my best to avoid crowding the human male, though I was impatient for him to pass me along to the Secretary General. With this new information in mind, there were decisions to be made about what roles the rebel fleet should play. From what Kaisel imparted, we had just missed intercepting the Kolchians, since they had warped out mere hours before. We could follow the subspace trails and see where they led. The goal of this mission was already accomplished, with Valra's world liberated. But I was torn over whether to intervene. Zal's words from our conversation about the war plans were still fresh in my mind.
Should the tables turn at Maloo, I imagine the Kolchians are building their time to hit human territory. We know that they want to cure us, so I'd find the use of biological weapons against civilian populace likely, the Secretary General had said. The last thing that Earth wanted was a repeat of the months-long hostage situation in the system, but with human prisoners in tow. Regardless of what actions I'd personally take, I needed to pass along a warning about Zal's speculation looking more like prophecy. Perhaps the death of Nikonus had accelerated the Kolchians' aggressive timeline, or perhaps his successor carried out what was already planned. Either way, Vendel Prime and Earth should be on their guard for any incursions. I donned a look of seriousness as Oleg beckoned me over to the screen. The Secretary General was staring back with interest in his brown eyes. Hello, Isov. I hear your mission at Maloo has been a massive success, sir. I've been in touch with the Zerillians, and their doctors and aid workers are en route from Kolia, he said. However, I'm hearing that the Kolchians left before your arrival. I chuckled. As usual, you know things before they have been relayed. General Jones's department, yes? In this instance, it was simple enough to piece together a timeline of events, with Maloo able to reach out to us. We've been in communication with our people aboard your ship, too. Regardless, congratulations on your success. There are many bright-eyed humans toasting your accomplishment back here on Earth. The United Nations appreciate your help. We would have sent more to fight alongside you, but we're stretched thin. I know, Mr. Secretary General. I'm not sure I ever misjudged someone so thoroughly as I did the Jotl. You sent us worthy fighters. That was enough aid, and it pains me to profess, but it was the reason for our success. My wish to get into contact, to appraise you of these developments, and also to warn you that the Kolchians may have left to attack another target. It should be seen, too, that Vendel Prime, Earth, and anywhere else that is strategically important to humans is vigilant. I swore a promise that not one more civilian would perish on Earth, not under my watch. 20% of the deaths during the attack were in my home nation. I lost family, like many other people, and for that, I'll do anything to protect Earth. I have done everything I could think of to protect Sol, and there are no lines that I wouldn't cross to keep us safe. Skulga is also under our umbrella of protection. The Vendel are treasured by humanity. You need not worry. Good! I do not know whether I should pursue the Kolchians and offer aid.
Zhao's eyes, which had darkened during his previous remarks, rolled in thought.
Yes, sir. You've done as much as you've promised to do. I won't ask any more of you. If you wish to help, we'd welcome your assistance, and your swift response time could make a difference. The Yodel have already agreed to chase the subspace trails and continue the battle wherever the Kolshians have gone. What course of action do you wish to pursue?
That depends on where they are attacking. Do you have any guesses?
I have a sneaking suspicion, but I generally have no desire to manipulate you. Please, whatever my colleagues might do, know that I respect your goals and autonomy.
You are blunt and forthright with your aims. I find that to be a respectable quality in most instances, except when your aims are perpendicular to my own. Fortunately, we find ourselves in agreement of our peaceful aspirations. Is that not correct?
We both seek a long-lasting peace for all species. First off, I don't know this. It's based off my interpretation of the data. But my best guess for where the Kolshians are heading is Liberty's Bastion. Since the Federation, it symbolizes predator expansion outside our own space. The human words caused my heart to spike, hearing that my Dosa friend was in the line of fire again. To be clear, I've asked the Mazic patrollers to fortify our defenses, and we're moving colonists off-world. Now, before you worry about Vaura, I got in touch with her hosts and evacuated them. You don't need to swoop in and rescue her.
Why would you bring my friend to safety before tending to your people?
Vaura doesn't take a spot from a human. She's tiny. She can fit in a cup holder.
You could have left the Dosa there and manipulated me into helping. It would benefit you strategically.
I don't want to win that way, or to treat humanity's friends as tools. Like I told you on Earth, moral principles give you integrity, but you can't just hold onto them when it's easy or beneficial. I won't abuse emotions or use lives as bartering chips.
Remarkable. Zhao could have all but ensured that I would show up at Liberty's Bastion, but he chose to get Vaura to safety. The Dosa means a lot to me, so perhaps I do owe him a favor in return.
I dipped my head in gratitude.
Thank you. I'll have my fleet follow the subspace trails with haste. We'll chase the Kolshians to Liberty's Bastion or wherever they may be heading.
Your aid is appreciated. I promise I'll remember this when it's time for us to bring our full might to your side. You may not be a member of the Sapient Coalition, Issav, but you're just as much of an ally.
I desire for you to win. I desire for the Federation to lose even more.
Where I'm from, we call that spite. We'll bring their leaders to their knees before the sun sets on this war. There's no stopping what's in motion now.
I have faith in your abilities. I will be in touch if we have additional intel, or if we need to converse with UN forces at our destination. Take care and fight well, Secretary General Zhao.
Just Mings is fine. We're friends. You called Elias by his first name, didn't you?
Actually, I refer to Elias Mayer and the sum of his two full names. Human nomenclature is most confusing to the uninitiated.
The Terran general chuckled. I could see how that could be confusing. Regardless, I won't waste any more of your time. I know you've got to be present while you track those assholes down. Take care. Fight well yourself. The arboreal alien disconnected from the call, and I swept a gaze around the bridge. While I was certain the Arxel crew had overheard the bulk of our conversation, there didn't seem to be any objections over following the Kolshians. We were fortunate to escape Malu with few casualties, largely thanks to the Yodel stepping up. However, we didn't want to be outshone by the plant-eating marsupials, who were willing to come to Earth's aid as often as needed. My goal was to make a positive impression on the United Nations, and I also could respect that they had taken the honorable road with Vaura. Altruism was a novel concept, but it was worth it to attempt to reciprocate the kind gesture. The rebel fleet pressed closer to Malu's inner sanctum, and we locked onto the subspace trails left by the fleeing Kolshians. Wherever the Federation planned to strike, my forces would help prevent them from getting their tentacles on any other humans. If there was one thing the Terrans had in common with my entire race, it was that we both had no interest in being cured. End of chapter.
There is a new legend on the horizon. Blueberry Cat has taken the T6 Patreon spot. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that I speak for everyone when I say that. I would just like to thank our T5 members, Lord Azrakel, Ambrose Cattell, Quantum Wednesday, Dragzoon W.R.E, Blueberry Cat, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Bushmaster 177, and Leslie 517. Thank you very much.